G'day, it's Lindsay Waddington, and we've got a little fun exercise we're going to do now with one of my good friends, Laurel Edwards.
Will we be good friends at the end of it?
Oh, I'll be still your friend. I don't know about the other way. No, we've got a Q&A, some little fun questions.
Okay, fun.
Fun questions. Hey, just because you've spent your whole life throwing the questions out there, it's about bloody time you got to answer some.
Good point, fair. That's fair.
What was your first job?
First job was actually that I got paid for. It wasn't a permanent job, just a casual thing, was singing a 4BC jingle. I remember I got paid $80.
Serious?
Yes, John Elliott, who we knew, said, oh, Laurel can sing, get her in to do this. And it was for an Easter promotion or something, but I just thought it was big time. It was fantastic.
Thousands back then.
But my first job while I was at school was $80. I think Mum took half of it as commission. No, she did not. I think we bought John a bottle of wine or something. I working at McDonald's after school.
Yep. Mm-hmm. What was your favourite feed?
Favourite feed wasn't from McDonald's, was it? I actually worked at the sale yards too, because growing up in Balmoral, we had the Cannon Hill sale yards just up the road and the abattoirs and everything, and very rural in those days. And on our horses, we'd go up after school and I'd get paid $2 from it wasn't an official gig, but the stockman there always needed a bit of a hand to take the cattle from one side of Wynnum Road over to the other side at Lytton Road at Cannon Hill over to the abattoir.
You didn't see a beast walking down the crush and say, see you on Monday for my 4 o'clock shift?
I only ever went into the abattoir once and saw what was actually happening on that side of the road, and told them I'm never going on that side of the road ever again. I'll stay on the sale yard side. It was not good. And I went home to Mum and said, right, I'm about to be a vegetarian. And that lasted about 4 months, but couldn't handle that.
What's the most memorable radio interview you've ever done?
I get asked this a lot, and I can't stand it when I don't quite remember, because there have been so many incredible
Doesn't have
ones.
to be a superstar.
I probably would say, I think Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
Neil Diamond, because growing up with my mum and dad had his albums, and just such a superstar, and I had to just keep remembering where I was so that I wasn't just immersed in the whole conversation.
Yeah.
And just incredible. And I blurted out at the end of the interview, I just went, I love you, Neil. And he said, that a girl. And I just remember, and he called me Lovely Laurel once. And we took that out as an audio grab, and I carried that around. I even had it transferred to my phone so I could hear it. But that was surreal. Seriously, having Neil Diamond say, that a girl, to, I love you, Neil. I don't know, why did I say that? I had all these really intelligent questions to ask him. I knew all of his history, but I love you, Neil. Dribble.
I love it. That's fantastic. If you're a wiggle, which one would you be?
I don't think there's a pink wiggle, is there? Because I always thought that, I know they've got girl wiggles now, but back then I probably would have been a pink wiggle, because in the 80s I wore pink bows and everything was pink.
Did you ever wear the tights with, those scrunchy socks, like the Let's Get Physical ones, that come up?
I never had.
Never did that?
I never had the physique for that. Not for the Olivia Newton-John Let's Get Physical, that sort of thing. I wore the headband, the little gold headband. I'd go to a party. No, in the 80s for us it was those, I think it was called Splendiferous and Q Designs in Queen Street before it was a mall. And we would wear the little layered skirt. That was the hot thing in those days, the pink layered skirt, and it'd have 3 layers. You would have had one. And
doesn't fit now.
And the little tank tops and things. And, if you were into a band, I remember I really loved Australian Crawl, so I'd have the little tank top we'd do our own screen printing, and I had Aussie Crawl and Daughter of the Northern Coast written on the back.
Did you really?
I wasn't
screen
from the
printing?
Northern Coast. Yeah, I know. Well, you'd do it at home, with the squidgy. You'd do your own artwork. Yeah, you could do that. Easy as. Tighten the shirt over something like a board, a cutting board.
Really?
Yeah, and then you just squidgy the stuff over the top. My mum made me, Sherbet was my favourite band.
Yeah.
And
I got sherbet all over my shirt.
No.
Lollies.
Yeah, that's you. No, in the satin, I think it was the How's That album, and they're in the hot air balloon and they're waving, and they've got those little zip up jackets. My mum made me one of those with sherbet written across the back, and
It's incredible.
And Daryl was my very special guest, surprise guest at my 50th birthday, and he got to sign it on the back.
Did he know you were like a serial stalker?
Yes, he knew from all of the years of interviewing him at 4KQ. And even over the phone,
I love you, Daryl.
Gary Clare, who I co-hosted the show with for 30 years, he would always do the disclaimer at the start saying, don't worry, Laurel still doesn't have your personal phone number. She still doesn't. And when I was 12 years old, I actually wrote to the fan club saying, Daryl, will you come to my 12th birthday party when I was 11? He never got back to me.
No.
So at my 50th birthday, I really had a go at him and said, you never got back to me when I was 12 years old. He should have. To say, I'm going to turn up to your birthday party with 12 other girls. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm sure he had time. I was his biggest fan.
I bet you were scared any bouncers turn up. The entourage.
Every time Daryl saw me, he always had to have a minder with him just in case, because, things would get messy.
I love it. That's
I'd
great.
latch on and not let go.
This is serious now. What's the last book you read?
Kill a Mockingbird, grade 12, I suppose. No. I do
read.
I must admit, I'm not a big reader.
Me either.
I do love biographies. So I guess the last one, I'm slowly going through them. I'm very fortunate at work that we would get given these books, and I would never move them on because quite often you'd get them autographed. And not long back I was reading Bono's. I got through Bono's book, Sting. Just your main people. What I love is that common thread of being a young kid, having this dream, and then the things that go on.
Just brings it all together.
Sure does.
It's funny, the other day I was reading Bono and the guitar player walked into the pub and they tripped over and they were rotten drunk, and the publican said, oh, not you two again. Thank you.
That wasn't a sincere laugh, was it? That was...
No, there was like, that was actually a creepy one. Run, Daryl.
Oh, don't worry. Daryl is fully aware of my issues with him.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Who's the most famous person or contact in your phone?
I have a couple that I've always been aware that if someone got a hold of my phone, you have to have them under an alias. Mm. And I guess in country music, Casey Chambers is under Case Nicholson.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's when she was married, and I just put it as K-A-S-E. Who else would I have in there? Oh, Russell Morris. I've got Russell Morris's number. I've got Brian.
What have you got Russell under?
He's under Russell Morris.
Oh, it's just so if someone gets your phone, they can look this up and find out who everyone is.
Russell M. He's under, if you're looking.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe's.
Oh.
Yeah, but that's under Rusty.
Yeah.
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 Once again, you won't get through the pin because I've got one of those screens and I don't know how to change it, but it locks after 5 seconds. So you've got Buckley's of ever getting into my phone.
Who'd be the biggest then, you reckon? What would you go straight to?
I don't know. I'd have to have a look. I'd seriously have to have a look because...
You haven't looked now, aren't you? Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I've got these wonderful people from all walks of life. Amanda Keller, lovely Amanda Keller, who I chat to, and gorgeous Judith Jeffries, and
you have had a
Becky
big
Cole.
life. If you were stranded on a deserted island, what 3 things would you want with you?
I think Tilly the dog.
Yeah,
I'd love she's great company. Music in some way or another. It would have to be some sort of, iPod or that's showing my age, isn't it? iPod or a record player or something like that. So we're assuming these are all solar powered.
Oh, it's all solar. Yeah, the island's solar. Yeah,
and a potato plant, so I could have my own potatoes, and I would be able to cook them on the fire. Because I could make a fire, but as long as I had potatoes to eat.
You really like potatoes?
I love potatoes.
What's your favourite?
Chips.
Oh, yeah?
Any sort of potato chips, whether hot or in a packet.
Wedges or
Crisps.
more? Yeah.
Oh,
you like Smith's or anything like
I
that?
love all of those.
Oh,
There's this new
wow.
one called the Double Crunch. I love that.
Is it really?
Oh, it's incredible. It's like a zigzag and you put it in your mouth and the texture
Just
just
bang.
explodes. And I also love, what are the frozen chips? I like make my own chips, but I love the frozen chips, the beer battered pub style ones.
Yeah.
Love
Do you like the
those.
thin or you don't
I like
care?
the chunky ones.
The chunky ones, yeah.
In the air fryer. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Could live on that.
I'm getting stranded with you. Is there an instrument you wished you'd played?
Piano. I did piano lessons many, many, many years ago. Then I went back when the kids were getting a little bit older. I thought, I've got the time now. And I really wish I'd stuck with it. I really do. I love piano.
So much revolves around it, doesn't it? Like, and big hits, as you would know with your job, like the Elton Johns, Brian Cadds, like all of them, all the hits. Piano drives a lot of them sometimes.
I find
that pop world and rock world and
absolutely, and I also find that it's been Jem that has revived my love for it. Just to hear her, ever since the age of 5, she's been learning piano.
actually give Jem a shout out.
Oh, Jem Cassar-Daley?
Yeah.
Incredible. Actually, it's one thing a lot of people don't know. She's got this beautiful voice of an angel, and people will say, online on social media, and they'll say, oh, voice of an angel, voice of an angel. Her piano playing is quite phenomenal. She can do, she can do Bach, she can do anything. She can play the most intricate pieces, but then she can subtly sit and do the most sublime Christine McVie song or Missy Higgins or something with just really delicate touch and a lot of space in there. And she's quite a phenomenal piano player. And to have her get home from school and just drop the bag and play, just practice for 2 hours, not even sing a note, but just play. And it's been really special having her in the family playing the piano. And we were talking about it the other day, talking about all of those beautiful songs and where space is so important in a song. For instance, like I love like Bruce Hornsby and I love the piano playing, but Brian Cad's Ginger Man, all you have to do is hear that first bit, that gling, 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 and you just think, wow, there's nothing, there's all that space in between, but you know exactly what it is and you cannot turn it off.
Yep, I agree with that. Go and check out Jem Cassar-Daley, one of our rising stars. Rising quick, actually.
Yeah. She's
really good.
Really good I say phenomenal, but she's a very, very good songwriter. I don't think Jem has written a bad song, including Windy, which she wrote when she was 5 years old. Why is it so windy today? Why is it so windy today? I can't get my head around the wind today. Tell me why is it so windy today? I had some money, but it blew away.
That's actually sort of catchy, though.
It's incredible. I think the Wiggles would like it. Windy, it's called.
Windy. Okay, I like
Nothing
it.
to do with the curry away.
Yeah, exactly. Thunder down under. Can you do an impression of anybody?
No.
Come
Not without
on.
offending someone.
Come on, nobody watches this. A few million people around the world. I wouldn't worry.
I guess talking to Stevie Nicks, incredible woman.
Yeah.
Incredible. Very serious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've chatted to her a couple of times, and I always ask with vocals, how do you warm up? Do you have a bit of a backstage sort of schedule that you go through to warm up to make sure? And she had an interesting one. She would warm up like 2 hours before the gig, then go away and then come back and do like 10 minutes before walking on stage. There was something about having that break in between. But I do remember asking, I said, oh Stevie, what would be your regime, before you go? Oh, I've got to tell you, I think. But then again, I think it's really important to, and I know I don't sound like it, but that was the sort of answer that you got.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're there going, yes, I totally get it. I don't, what was she saying? But it was, I love the way that every interview that Stevie did with us, and we did several with her, she was trying not to give you the same answer every time, which is what I love,
And be unique.
Yeah.
Growing up, who was your musical inspiration?
Lots. I guess from a listening point of view and singing along to, Linda Ronstadt, I'd say.
Yeah, I get that.
I remember doing Blue Bayou at several talent quests. Came first at the Ferny Grove RSL. I was very proud of that. Got a $50 restaurant voucher and got an agent that day too, which was very important. Yeah. An agent that sent me out to do a whole stack of freebies. You know those agents that say, I'm going to take you places. By the way, next week they're doing a fundraiser. Can you go? Oh, absolutely, whatever you say. I think the first time he paid me was like 12 months into having the contract with this agent. But no, I think, definitely Linda Ronstadt sing along to. Loved Dolly Parton. Always found she was quite a bit high for me. But I loved Linda Ronstadt with Stone Ponies too, doing different drum, which I recorded a version of many years later. Definitely Fleetwood Mac. Loved Fleetwood Mac music. Always sort of like when I was singing in duos and things, it was always the Stevie Nicks songs, whereas Jem would go more for Christine McVie. So...
Nice.
Lots of female singers. In Australia, I loved Anne Kirkpatrick's Out of the Blue. That was the album that I just could not.
I think Russ actually wrote
that song. He wrote that song.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, yeah. Fantastic album. Or did he produce it? I'm not too sure about producing, but he definitely wrote Out of the Blue.
What a song.
That album is just phenomenal.
Well, that did so much for Anne too. I think that song sort of really, she's a serious contender.
Jenny Kane from Flying Emus, I loved her voice.
Great
love
singer.
her voice. Jane Saunders, love her voice.
Well, Jane Saunders was just like a voice of an angel,
Absolutely.
What's your favourite song right now from any artist?
Oh, at the moment, I can still believe. Why not? I mean, it really, I'm not just saying this. From first hearing it, it's the sort of, as soon as you say believe, that's the first thing that comes up, which I just absolutely adore. I just think that's fantastic. I would say I love that Taste song from Sabrina Carpenter. I'm not into the poppy stuff.
How does that go?
Yeah. Together, and if it's true, I just want to taste you like you're kissing you. And as you know, I know the lyrics back to front.
I actually sort of like that song too.
Oh, it's so good. I do love a good pop song. I must admit. Every now and then I try not to be like my dad used to be. Oh, what's this rubbish? And honestly, there's some really good stuff coming out. But then again, I just hear this sort of, and I love Ella Langley. I'm just really into Ella Langley at the moment. I'm just loving Dandelion
But Choosin Texas, it's everywhere. But you still listen to it and you go, "What a groove!"
It's just so simple.
I just can't stop listening to it. It is a modern day hit.
Absolutely, and it's the sort of song that I guess back in the 90s when I was I've got to add Trisha Yearwood to that as well. Martina McBride and 90s country. I just absolutely adored. But, there's back then, I don't even think the Dandelion album would have done that great because they were the big anthemic sort of songs that Trisha and Shania Twain were doing.
And all that power singing.
That power stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas, this is a little bit folky, but it's sort of got an old-fashioned country style without sounding trad. It's fresh. But I'm really loving Ella Langley at the moment. So is a lot of other people.
What's your favourite food, and do you have any weird combinations?
Favourite food is definitely, I think I mentioned before, potatoes. Love my potatoes. Roast chicken, good old-fashioned roast chicken I love. I'm not really into curries and things, although Rosie Adsett makes a really mean curry.
Yeah.
My absolute favourite meal in the whole wide world is steak, chips and salad. I don't know why. It's just if I go to a pub, if I go anywhere.
Couple of eggs?
Steak, no, just steak, chips, salad with tomato sauce. None of these fancy mushroom or steak Diane or anything. No. Just good old bottle tomato sauce. Yeah. I love that.
If you were to perform in a circus, what would you do?
I'm not flexible. I can't be an acrobat. Too short to be a lion tamer or someone. Although they don't really have that anymore, do they?
No.
Yeah, which I sort of like. In a circus, I don't know. I'd have to be the loud ringmaster, the bossy one.
No.
I know.
No.
Something you didn't know about me.
What a surprise.
Loud and controlling.
No.
Yeah,
no.
absolutely. No, I know. I've got to try and convince you of this.
You're going to
I know,
have
you're
to.
gobsmacked, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. You've blown me away.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, you probably can get away from your shyness and your fears of that, and you could be that. Laurel tonight in the big tent.
After years of therapy, he's finally letting go.
Oh, jeez.
Look at that audience.
Thank you for the applaud. What's your favourite CD?
Oh,
Well, actually, let's go. What was your first one?
my first favourite CD was, this is strange, my first album that I was given, because I was such a top 40 radio head that I would just have the radio glued to my ear, was Sherbert's Greatest Hits on vinyl. And my first single, which is a bit strange because back in those days you were either a Sherbet fan or a Skyhooks fan, and I was a Sherbet fan. But I went out and bought, because I loved All My Friends Are Getting Married. So all my friends are getting married from Skyhooks. So that was my first single. But then I was very, very fortunate to grow up in a family of two older sisters, into Pink Floyd and David Bowie and Fleetwood Mac, and my mum and dad had, Perry Como and
Holy dooly.
yeah, it was a real wonderful mix. Matthew, who did they have? Neil Diamond, and we even had my uncle was into Rolling Stones and stuff, and he would slip a couple of albums in there every now and then. I remember my dad coming in one day, and Rolling Stones were on TV. Dad said, "No, what a load of rubbish! You'll never have one of them albums in our house." And I remember thinking, "Dad, there's one sitting stacked underneath in there." But no, I loved all of that. But and then my sister, she was quite a bit older than me, and she had her 18th birthday party, and someone gave her a copy of the Cars Candy O album. And that started my love of the Cars. I just, became I still am a massive Cars fan.
That's so
Love
incredible.
the Cars. But singing along wise, once again, Linda Ronstadt, Eagles.
So all that?
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good. Wasn't so
Can I
painful.
re-answer them and now that I've thought about it?
What are you doing next month? I tell you what, that's been a bit of fun. This lady here is a super talent. She's done so many years on radio promoting all of us, everybody, their music and helping out. But now it's great to see her on the other side and back singing where I reckon you should have always been, mate.
Thanks, Waddo.
Laurel Edwards.